Hello, welcome to the first episode of the Inner Sanctums Supercoach show for 2023. A couple of different hosts this year. My name's Scott, working with the Inner Sanctum, and I've got Mike here joining me each week, and we're hoping to get a few different guests throughout the year. How you going, Mike?
Good, thank you, Scott. How are you?
Very good, very good. Looking forward to a exciting Supercoach year. How would you rate yourself as a Supercoach expert or not?
I wouldn't put me in the expert category, but I'm the perennial finalist, much like Geelong up until last year, always making the finals, often making prelims, a couple of grand final losses along the way, and actually never tasted the success of Supercoach League glory. So hoping this year is my year after a few changes in strategy last year and into this year.
You're the St Kilda of the Supercoach world then. So each week we're just going to provide you guys with 15, 20 minutes of quality stuff just to help you with your Supercoach side. A bit lighthearted, a bit left field. So use whatever you want from what we give you, and I hope you enjoy some of the conversations we have throughout the year. Firstly, we're just going to touch on the changes. What are your thoughts, Mike, on the changes to Supercoach for 2023?
I think after last year, where there was a lot of significant changes, I think there's not a lot going from 2022 to 2023. I think with an additional round, there's some more trades on offer, but I believe the trade boosts, that sort of formula sort of remains the same. I think there's 4 buy rounds this year.
Yep.
So how you strategically use your trades, especially through the middle part of the year to get your best 18 is going to be something really worth considering probably well before the buy rounds commence.
Yeah, I reckon people will look at that 36 trades and go, yep, just more to blow. And I found myself last year just running out, even though we had more last year. So that's my first bit of advice. I'm just going to try and hold off and stick with the side you've got as best as possible. So it should be interesting with the extra round and the extra trade. We'll see how we go.
And I learned that the hard way last year, making another grand final last year. No trades left. My opponent had 3 trades left. And when he knew he couldn't be beaten, he simply traded his 3 remaining players to the same players I had left. So I definitely learned the hard way and hope to have a couple up my sleeve come finals time.
Yes, I know the bloke who did it. He should remain nameless, but not our friend anymore, that's for sure. So we could talk Supercoach for hours, and there is millions of different choices, obviously. But we just thought we'd focus on the key stuff and try and give you a bit of information heading to round 1 to try and get that side settled as much as possible. The first thing I reckon that needs talking about is the abundance of midfield / forwards on offer. So I was just having a look last week, and I think Josh Dunkley is the one that's the second highest owned out of everyone in the whole Supercoach so far. Nearly 70% of people have him. Thoughts on Josh Dunkley, Minnie? Should we go with him? What do you reckon?
Look, I think out of all these options that we're going to go through, I think he's the biggest lock out of all of them. He's proven to be well over 100 average year on year. So I think you'd be silly not to take him. I think it's the percentage owned in teams sort of gives that away too.
Yeah, and being a Cats man myself, I watched him dominate against us in the preseason, scored nearly 150. I can't believe it's only at 70%, to be honest. I reckon he's got to be in everyone's side. You're foolish not to. There's also Tim Taranto, who's moved over to the Tigers. Only $500,000, 124 points in his practice game against the D's. What are your thoughts on Tim Taranto?
Yeah, I'm not as sold on Taranto as I am on Dunkley. I'm I don't like to dabble in ones I've been burnt on before, and Taranto is one of those. Like, he had plenty of time in the midfield and forward last year. Proven to be a goal kicker, but it's his efficiency that unless he's dramatically improved that over the off season, I think it's a bit of a risk. Coughs the ball up whilst he gets it a lot. And can burn you with a few low scores. So I think he's in one for the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make the cut come Thursday.
56% of sides at the moment. I'm leaning towards not as well. I think even at 500,000, I would be picking people only at that price who you think are going to be a sort of top 8 midfielder. And I'm just umming and ahhing. Yes, you'll get a lot of midfield time, but You're right. I've been burnt by him as well, so I'm a bit unsure about him, but plenty of jumping on board.
I think it's the dual position that's getting people so
Yeah,
excited to have a guy who might average that much. I mean, forwards were hard to come by at one point last year, so having ones that consistently score 90, 95 plus is probably
yeah,
why people are so excited about him.
that's right. So yeah, I said will he be a top 8 midfielder, but of course we can chuck him in that forward line. Would he be a top 6 forward? He may well be. The other one who's still got his forward status, even though he rolled through the midfield towards the back end of last year, is Connor Rosie. And to all our Port fans who are Inner Sanctum people, they've been talking him up for years and years, it feels like. Averaged 112 in the last 7 games last year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's in my side, and I think we finally saw the consistency that we've been, Port fans and Supercoach fans have been longing for a while. He can score for a couple of years. He could score your 120s, 130s, but he often would back that up with a 50. But I think the back half of last year, I think there's enough for me to go on in his preseason form, injury free. So he's in my side, and he'll definitely be making it there.
Yeah, 514,000. I'd have him before Taranto. And then we have Errol Goulden, who no one was really talking about, but in the preseason he is dominated. Highest score of everyone in the practice game last weekend. Skyrocketed now to 34% ownership. No Callum Mills in that game though, so I'm a bit dubious, but he seems to be popular. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I'll probably give him a go. I think at 476, especially, for me, I'm looking to play him as my sort of 5th or 6th mid. I actually had him in my Supercoach side as a point of difference in the back half of last year, and scored quite well. I probably don't know his last sort of 7 or 8 rounds average, but he was a consistent form in the back end of last year as well, which sort of indicates there's there's less risk, I think, in jumping on Errol. Only Errol in the competition, if I'm not mistaken.
Always a good fact to know. I'm reluctant, but there's a lot can happen between now and when we're recording Monday night and Thursday. So who knows if you'll end up in there. And then the last one to talk about is Nat Fife. So only 313,000. Actually looks fit for the first time in a while. Got that forward status as well. Scored 90 on last weekend in the preseason game. The question is, Mike, can we trust him to be in our side?
Look, I think if it was 450,000, I'd be questioning a bit more. But I think it's one of the biggest locks of the year. If he can kick straight, he's going to score some significant points, and if he does remain fit, he's going to roll through those, as that impact player through. And he takes contested marks, which obviously with Supercoach score very, very well. Look, I think 313,000, he's definitely, even if he's not in your final side, you hope that he's going to make you 150,000 plus, and upgrade him to a primo.
You actually just hope he's going to play the first 7 games or 8 games. I think if he plays them, you'll make it 150,000. I reckon I've had him in my side and out of my side millions of times. It just feels like I've taken 3 times in 1 year once.
Yeah.
So when you get burnt by people, you're so reluctant, but you're right, that price is so juicy. So one of those ones we'll decide on, see how the cash is lying when we're picking the last few, I reckon. Cool. So that's a sum up of the mid/forwards. Wouldn't surprise me if some people actually roll with probably 4 or 5 of those and just stock up. So if not, seems like Dunkley and Rosier are our choice, and then see how you go with the rest. So next we'll just give you a bit of let's talk a bit of rookies. So what are your tactics in the past, Mike, with your rookie selection?
This is probably, if I could identify one thing, this is where I really am deficient in my rookie selection. I think I had a really good year last year, but historically, not great at picking the rookies. And there's a lot, isn't there, this year that are between sort of 150 to 200,000, which seems to be more than previous years.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard to go past those that are already picked to play round 1. I think that's probably got to be the thing that you work towards. As long as they're playing round one and you think they're going to be playing the first 3 rounds so they can make you a little bit of cash, it's hard to go past your Ashcrofts, who's, if you watch any of the preseason games, he's an absolute bull. I think Gimby from West Coast, again, he's going to be featuring every round as long as he stays fit. So they're probably the first two picked for me as well. Charlie Constable, rookie priced. I think he's jumped up, isn't he? 50%, fourth most owned at 50%.
Yeah,
57%.
Yeah.
Which I think is surprising. I mean, he showed a lot early, and you'd know, being a Geelong supporter, showed a lot early in his career, but could never really break into the side. What's 73 in a role against the Giants across halfback. Well, I think he's probably worth it, especially at such a low price in popping him in. But again, rookies are not my forte, Scott, and I think this is probably where you shine, actually, is picking those right ones.
Well, I always just go with who's playing. So I think if they're picked in round one, then, I mean, you just want to get the cash out of them. There's not many rookies you keep the whole year. Dacos maybe is an exception if you managed to hang on to him last year, but for most of them, you just want to make that 150,000 or so as quick as you can, to get them up to over $300,000, 350,000, so you can do the double, downgrade one, upgrade another. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with Ashcroft. 3/4, he's the most owned at the moment in Supercoach. So, if you don't have him, you'll probably be behind the 8 ball. Like you said, Gimby from West Coast, he's shown himself in the preseason, scored 99 in the preseason game. I mean, I started listing some a couple of days ago, and they were just reeling off lots of them. There's Will Phillips from North, Darcy Wilmot. I reckon him or Connor McKenna will play for Brisbane. They probably won't play both, so maybe just watch the teams. Cam McKenzie for Hawthorn, definitely. I reckon they're going to give him a go. And sometimes I feel like you have to go by the coach a bit as well. I reckon bloody Beveridge from the Bulldogs, as soon as he puts blokes in, you think, yeah, here we go, and then 2 weeks later they're out. Maybe that's just me. But you even got like Josh Bruce, who's now only $160,000. He's in defence. Can he average 70 maybe? Fergus Green for Hawthorn as well. There's plenty out there. So yeah, my strategy is just, which has worked pretty well in the past, to just name ones that are playing. So you really got to have the ability to actually adjust your side on the fly. Have a couple of players who are willing to drop down or bring in if you need to, depending on the rookies that are named. So at least we'll know a lot more of the sides on Thursday night, as opposed to the dragging out like it has been in the past. So.
Yeah, I think having 29, 30 players playing as many rounds to start the season as possible to increase the total cash is pretty pivotal for any successful Supercoach side.
Yeah, I usually roll the 29 and just chuck the 30th, usually the 30th on the bench as the ruckman, just to use as my captain's loophole. Although if you've got someone like Jack Hayes from St Kilda last year who ends up playing, you end up just rolling with 3 rucks and trying to put someone else in. But I usually aim for the 29 and the one captain's loophole, and that does you pretty well.
I think we'll get onto the rucks in a moment. That's an interesting topic in itself, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's talk rucks. While you mention it, in the past, Gawn and Grundy, let's lock them in. I feel like I've done that for years and years. Not much has changed, but now they're on the same side. So what are we going to do? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I can't, until I have a sample to work off. I don't think I can trust either of them. I think by all reports, Grundy's probably not moving around the track as well as he has in previous seasons. So I'd probably be definitely steering clear of Grundy. He's one of those guys who really likes to cover the ground when he is fully fit as well, and similar with Gawn. So they say they'll be able to make it work, and they're excited. But I'm yet to be convinced. I've steered clear of both of them.
Yeah.
But I still do like my double primo in my rucks, which I might have to reconsider because I'm a bit squeezed for cash in my draft side at the moment. But I've gone for Rowan Marshall, and I had him at the second half of last year. I think with Ryder now, when Ryder was out of the side, I don't know off the top of my head, but the average when Ryder was out of the side compared to his in the side was so significant. And now as that sole ruck, if he stays fit and has a good run of it, he's someone who could produce those Gawn-like numbers of averaging 130 plus. So I've got Marshall, and the other one I'm at the moment going with. That's a good question, actually. I've forgotten who I'm going with.
Well, while you look it up, I'm going to tell you that I reckon Rowan Marshall is the one as well. Obviously, everyone else. He's only 500,000, so a few rucks up over the $600,000. So I agree with you. Dominates when he's on his own. Scored 155 last week in the practice game. I mean, you have to go with him. He's the sixth most owned player at the moment, so you probably have to go with him at that price and the solo ruck duties. He is injury prone, but you just swing the change when everyone else swings the change.
Yeah, and look, the other one I've gone with is Tim English. I think his average year on year has built. I think we start to see the consistency, constantly averaging or getting scores over 100 and often scoring those big ones. The only question that remains is they're very, it's not very Bulldog-like actually, but they're very tall. The Bulldogs, with Darcy fucking Bruce down back now, they've got Liam Jones, they've got Ugle Hagen, they've obviously got Norton. So there's a lot of players that they can actually roll through the rucks, but really Tim English is the only one who gets around the whole ground and covers the whole ground really, really well. So at the moment it's English and Marshall, but I think English, especially if I'm looking for better primos to start off with through the mids, he might be the one to give away.
Yeah, I like English. I think I like everything you said. Until Max Gawn burns me, I'm just going to go with him. I know he's got Grundy with him, but he's just been a gun for me for years. And I think, they're both of them. He scored 150 odd last week, I think, in his practice game, even though Grundy was there. So I know he said, I'm going to let Grundy do more of the ruck work as captain. Push comes to shove, he'll be the one in the middle. So I'm expecting him to. He's fit. I'm expecting him to start the year like a house on fire. So I think I'll go with him until such time as they go.
He's proven to go forward, take big clunks and kick goals now, hasn't he? After last year was kicking a few bags, so adds another cap to his bow.
Otherwise I think he might. With both of them on the ground, he might start in the ruck and he might even float back a bit and just sort of take a couple of contested marks off opposition kicks, which are always handy point scorers. So it is a hard one, though. You could argue English, Gawn, you could argue a few others as well, but I reckon whatever your ruck choice is, you want two that are going to be yours for the year. You don't want to be stuffing around and wasting trades with them. So pick your two and stick with them. If one goes awry for a couple of weeks, stick fat. Don't waste trades if they're playing the rucks for sure.
I think we'll agree to disagree there. I'm a wait and see on Gawn, but hey, if I've learned anything from going up against you in Supercoach for year after year, I'd probably go with your advice rather than mine. But
all right, so number one item on next week's show: Gawn or English, who did better? So we'll be able to discuss that for sure. Couple of other things to finish up. We here at the Inner Sanctum, we like a few points of difference. You got a couple of you thinking that a bit left field. You don't want to keep your team the same as everyone else's. Who you got your sights set on at this stage, Mike?
Yeah, well, I don't really know if you can call him a point of difference, but I think Elliot Yeo has to be one of the first picked in the side. He's been
did you
probably
hear me?
Point of difference.
I said point of difference, not owned by nearly everybody.
Well, I have got my Eagles jersey on.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe got my blinkers on for there, but at price, I think you can't go past him. Maybe one to consider is Liam Jones coming back into the side after a year out, refusing to get the jab. I just sort of been going through his historical stats, and he's at 228,000. Is he gonna average over 70? He's never done it before, either at the Bulldogs previously or at Carlton. He's a lockdown defender. He's going to take a number of contested marks from opposition kicks, which obviously scores quite heavily. But question as to whether he's going to get enough disposals to get those scores closer to 90 and 100 to make you cash. So he's one that's in there at the moment. I'll give you another West Coast.
Oh yeah,
that would be left. I'll give you another left field from West Coast, and that's Jai Cully. So he's just a mid 276,000. I do follow the preseason as much as possible, but definitely when it comes to the Eagles, and if there's one player that is training the house down, he's put on a lot of bulk. He won the 2K time trial. Is to watch out for him. So he's my left field. He's in my side at the moment as a sort of mid, lower to mid. Yes, lower to mid.
You got to keep him in your side. That's the deal. Anyone you mention as a point of difference, we have to put in our side each week. So one thing I forgot to mention at the top is me being Geelong and Mike being West Coast. We did not talk about 92 or 94 on this thing. That's the only time.
But of course, we are happy to talk about the last decade. But as long as it's
absolutely. My number one, actually, my Supercoach side is called the Max Holmes Lovers. So I would be remiss of me not to put him in my side, considering that's the name of my team. He's 360,000. I loved him last year, and Paddy Dangerfield said he's ready to explode. He can be anything. He's playing in the midfield more. He's actually playing in the centre more. He did in a couple of practice games, not just on the wing. I reckon he can get over 500,000, and there's 150 grand made. And then I'll decide whether the captain of my side, by name, will actually stay in the side. But he's my one. Let's see, when Max Holmes versus, what was your guy? Jai Cully. Let's see how they go head to head this week. He's my main one. Most of my side at the moment is just stock standard. I like to just fill it up with the stock standards and then try and think outside the square as we get closer to the game, get closer to the weekend. So we'll see how those two go.
Yep.
Just finally to wrap up the show this week, what are you thinking for your captain this week? We'll talk to captains every week. We'll look back next week and see how our captains went. And then we might even keep track all year whose captains do better each week. Who are you thinking for your captains? Yeah. Jai Cully, I reckon. You're a good captain.
Jai Cully. Look, I miss the days when you just put the C on G Ablett and moved on to the next week. Because those were the times where we could get 200 a week and put it in the bank. But the last couple of years, it's really proves whether you're going to win the round or lose the round, and it can be a difference of 100, 200, 300 points. So, look, hard to go past Tuke Miller if once his hamstring's right. I got the C on Lockie Neal first up this round, so we'll go with L Neal.
Yeah.
But I'll be definitely looking at Neal, at Oliver, and at Tuke.
Yeah. Well, I will go. I reckon the VC will end up on any one of those mids. So currently, I've got Laird, Oliver, and Neal in my side. I don't think all three will end up there. They're all too expensive. But the vice captain will go on one of them, and then because Rowan Marshall's playing in the very last game of the round, if any of those don't go well, I'll just chuck the C on him and give him a run first up. I think he'll be up against Big Sean Darcy, but that doesn't matter. They're playing at home. He'll run amok at Marvel Stadium, and we'll see if we can get our ruckman up and firing from round one.
All right. So we've got Neal and Cully versus Marshall and Holmes.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the huge millions of fans watching this will be watching with bated breath, just like we will. So that's it, the end of our show this week. Thanks for viewing / listening if you're out there. Any feedback, greatly appreciated. We'd love to have some people on as well throughout the year. Thanks to you, Mike. Well researched, ready to go. We'll talk next week. Let's see how our Supercoach sides go, and let's hope both our sides, Geelong and West Coast, can have a win to start the season.
Well, it wouldn't be hard when they got 2 last year, so hopefully we can start the year off. If we don't beat North, geez, you may not get me back next week.
All right, we'll maybe edit that part out. Oh, it's so good. All right, on behalf of Inner Sanctums.
See you later.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.